Hi
Hi
everyone, we
everyone.
are live. Just a second. Yeah, we are live, and I have here today Michelle Alexander with me. And yeah, if you're on, just say hi and then say let us know where you're from. So yeah, so Michelle, why don't you tell us more about what you do? And so me introducing yourself. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay, awesome. Christine, I'm Michelle Alexander. I'm with AJM Financial, and I truly help people live a better financial life. That's a goal for me, and it's been empowering to do that. Um, just to give people sound financial advice, again, to help them live at or even below their means, because a lot of times people they don't know what to do. They didn't learn what to do when they were younger, and then when they get 40, they're trying to figure out where's everything. How am I going to get this done? I have kids, I have a home, I have car note, we have all of this stuff, but no one ever taught us. They
Yeah.
teach you how to read and write in school, but no one teaches you how to manage your own money, even if you make $100,000. So
Great. Yeah,
yes,
I
that's one
can
of the things I
totally relate.
do.
Yes, I can totally relate to that. That's the type of clients who comes to us, right? So I mean, there's more than enough for everybody, and we need more coaches. Oh, hi, Gloria from the Philippines. Wow. I'm actually Chinese, but born and raised in the Philippines. So hi, Gloria. Hi, Kabayan. Oh, Brittany from South Carolina showing up. Hi, Brittany. So yeah, Michelle, why don't you tell us more about talk to us more about how you got started, like when did you become a financial professional, and then like because like I was a employee for a long time. I worked for corporate, and then I quit my corporate job last year, but I started my financial coaching business 4 years ago, and I really love being a full-time entrepreneur. So why don't you tell us your story? How did you got became being a financial professional? Why did you choose to do what you're doing now, and what was your history? Just share with us that background.
Okay, awesome. I want to be honest and say I really got started at 17.
Oh, wow.
Well, I have to go back that far because I think about, growing up, we learn our money experiences in childhood, and everything. I remember my mom saying, "Oh, if I made more money, if I made more money, if I made more money," but you paid for me to go to high school. So
Mhm.
what was the issue? There's a disconnect there. So it's not about
Mhm.
how much you make, it's about what you do with what you make. So I got my first job, a paying job. I was 17. I made $90 a week. And I was going to make that $90 work. It's not about how much you make, is what you do with what you make. So I even wrote an article
Yep.
for a local newspaper here telling that story. So I want to say I
Mhm.
managed that paycheck to the point when I got my first full-time job. In a
Mhm.
month's time, I still had money left over.
Mhm.
So
Wow,
that's
that's
how I got
awesome.
started as a child.
Mhm.
Yes. But in the beginning, that was, and years had gone by. Like you, I worked in corporate America, and I've done a lot of jobs. Receptionist, assistant, event planning, all those types of things. But this is my true passion. So I didn't get the luxury of kind of walking away from the job as you said you did, and I'd hoped to do that, but I was restructured before I had a chance to leave, which they were
Mhm.
going to coincide in the same year anyway. But it
Mhm.
worked out that way, and I have not looked back one day since. So I tell people I live what I preach, because when that
Mhm.
day came, there were no tears shed, none. I
Mhm.
haven't cried a day, and I'm like you. I love working on this, doing this, full time, and building the
Yeah.
business to be able to help other people.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's been my journey.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, looking at the comment, Yuri Mariano said, "Great work, ladies. Financial education is so important." Yes, for sure. And then she's from Sydney, Australia. Wow, what time is it there, Yuri, in
Yay!
Australia? And then Melissa Lopez is from San Jose, California. Wow, hi, Melissa. I am right next door to you. I'm in South Milpitas, which is the border of San Jose and Milpitas. So, hi, neighbor. We should get connected after this. Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay. So actually, let's talk about I guess what you do. So talk about what is how do you teach your client how to manage their money? Like how does that work? A client comes to you with all these issues. So how do you teach that? How is the Michelle way? Obviously, I have my way, but how is your way?
Well, one of the main things I start with, let's sit down and have a discussion. You have to get to
Mhm.
know the person because everybody interprets things differently. And I think someone wrote in on one of the feeds, I think in our feed, you can make pie and I can make pie. We've used the same ingredients. So, I go from
Mhm.
that aspect. So the same way with a client, they interpret things differently. Your DNA is different. So you absorb information differently. So I like to sit down with people and have a 2-hour consultation the first time we meet
Mhm.
to see where your head is, and to see what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish. Because some people have good credit, they just don't know how to manage their money. Some people have bad
Mhm.
credit and don't know how to manage their money. So you have to get to know that client to be able
Got it.
to help them. So, that's kind of one of the first things I do. But when I do presentations or seminars or workshops, I usually go in with a back to basics style presentation
Mhm.
to kind of cover everybody who may be in the room, because some people may need the credit repair piece. Some people may I need to manage my paycheck better, piece. How do I set a budget? How do I create a budget? Create smart financial goals.
Mhm.
Because some people don't know what a goal is. They
Mhm.
think tasks are goals. No,
Mhm.
your goal is what you're trying to achieve. Tasks are
Mhm.
things you do to get there. So
Okay.
that's the difference.
Okay. So yeah, so you were talking about you have a 2-hour consultation like in the beginning when people come to you is the first session is 2 hours just getting to know the client?
Yes, because that first
Oh,
meeting, if you
wow.
do 30 minutes, you really don't get a lot in 30 minutes. I mean, you can have a
Okay.
conversation, and, people, after a while, I think the way I come across, people start opening up to me. So you got to hear, a little bit more about them, their lives, and the stories. So, in
Mhm.
doing that, you need a couple of minutes, So I try to do 2 hours. It doesn't have to last the 2 hours. It depends again what you're looking for. So if we
Mhm.
go 2 hours, fine. But I like to start up with that time to give us enough time to go through your
Mhm.
information, your
Mhm.
paperwork.
Got
Normally
it.
I will tell you what you need to have when we meet. So
Okay.
if you have that ready, we don't have
Yeah.
to work on pulling those things.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah.
So that consultation is that the free consultation before they actually sign up, or that's like they pay and then the first session is 2 hours and then subsequently it's like an hour after.
Normally, people who I work with, that first consultation is they are ready to move to some point. So it's not free. That first consultation is
Okay.
a paid consultation.
Oh, got it.
Um,
Got it. Okay.
yes, and then after that, we have follow-up meetings, depending on what your
Got it.
goals are, what you're
Got
trying
it.
to reach, in your mindset, where you are. Are you ready to do what you need to do to get there?
Got it.
That's the
Got it.
main thing.
Okay.
So if
Got it.
yeah. So that's how I kind of do
Okay.
it. So
Okay.
sometimes I meet with a person 4 times and then maybe 3 times.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it depends on like how things go. You just like go with the flow and then it's not like set sessions, whatever up front.
Right.
Okay.
Because you
Got it.
can meet with
Yeah.
someone and you're not ready after 3 times. You may need to
Mm,
meet five
got it.
times.
Got it. Yep. Yeah. Like some
Mhm.
of my clients, they come to me. I work a little differently. Mine's more set like 1 session, 4 session, 8 session. So
Mhm.
during the complimentary, I assess them, where they're at, and I recommend them either 4 session or 8 session. And then like when my client asks me, it's like, what's the outline of a 4 session or 8 session? There is no outline because everybody's so different. Everybody just so
Yes.
different. And then they ask me, okay, and then I said generally, and based on what we're talking about, so we're going to talk about this, but the foundation is the relationship around money. And then I think based on what you told me, I think it probably will take at least 8 sessions because sometimes some of my clients after they, graduate the 8 session, then they just continue month after month after that. So it really depends. It's all per client, how much commitment they are into it, how much work they're gonna do, how much they're gonna do the homework and stuff like that. Because some clients are just a little bit more challenging than others, but that's because they have a lot more work to go through, right? Yeah. So
Yes.
I'm gonna
Yes.
read. Yeah, I'm gonna read the comment. Oh, Gita Gurung said, "Hi, ladies. Hi, Gita." Yuri says,
Hi.
9:10 a.m. in Sydney. Okay, so you're just waking up right now. And Rob said, "Hello, you too." So, guys, if you're on live, so feel free to ask us any questions. So you have another financial professional here, Michelle. So I'm trying to vary my guests, like from financial professional to just like any average person who wants to join, because then we don't want to just I don't want my show to just be revolved around financial professional. Like
Absolutely.
money can be related with anybody can relate with money, right? So And each of my guests, we're gonna talk about their journey, whatever they do, and then we're gonna talk about how money fits in the picture in their life. So at least someone can relate to that person one way or the other. So okay, so tell me, so tell me, how do you help build your credit for your clients? Like like sometimes some of my clients think there's a shortcut to building credit. So I want to hear how you let's say a client comes to you with 500 credit score. So obviously they can refinance a car loan or credit card. So how do you help them build their credit?
So the first thing again is I usually tell people to pull your credit report. You have to know what you owe, who you owe. You have to know what's going on. You can't fix it if you're just flying blind. So it's almost like getting on a plane and flying and
Yeah.
you have no direction. So
Yep.
yeah, get your credit report and look at it. And if you can't figure out things, that's where we come in to get some things done. Most people don't know how to read the credit report.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
It's not. I mean, I understand to some degree, but it's really not hard because you're looking at the names. If there's something on there that does not belong to you, that's an issue. We want to get
Mhm.
that corrected. So that's what I normally tell people to bring. If we're going to meet that first time and I hear credit one time, that's what you're looking at. That's the first thing I need you to bring. So that's where we start. So once
Got
we go there, we need to clear up any, discrepancies. Once, if
it.
there's no discrepancies, then we would need to work on the debt that's on there. And that's when it becomes individualized, how you tackle it, what you want to do. You definitely want to bring any high balances down. You definitely want to make sure you clear up things, and you want to make sure you pay on time because that's the heaviest weight of your credit score is paying on time.
Yep. Yep.
So we have to
Exactly.
look at all of that. Yes,
Yep.
yes, you have to look at
Okay.
those things and some other factors.
Okay. So I'm looking at the comments. So Rob said, "What's the initial time you spent with a client to see if they're going to be a good fit?" So Rob, for me, I have a 15-minute complimentary. So usually, like I'm pretty quick at assessing them because I have a long intake form to ask them a bunch of questions. So by the time we talk, I kind of know where they're at, and I can offer them, from either 4 session or 8 session that will fit them. So Michelle, what about you? What's your initial time you spent with a client to see if they're going to be a good fit? Rob was asking that.
Okay, yeah, yes, Rob, great question. And as I said in the beginning, I usually spend 2 hours with the initial consultation. It is a paid consultation, so it is intensive. I want to say it's that long. It doesn't last the whole 2 hours, depending on the person, but that's how much time you get to know somebody enough in 2 hours to say, hey, they're not going to work out. They're not going to do anything I tell them
Yeah.
to do. When they go home, they're going to cut the television on.
So do you if you think it's not a good fit and you don't feel like this prospect or client who came for a consultation will be a good fit, so how do you how do you let them know they're not ready yet? Like, do you or this is someone you don't want to work with? So how do you go about that?
Well, normally, I mean, you can always offer them to someplace else. Like sometimes some people do want that
Okay.
quick fix. If you
Yeah.
think that it's going to be a quick fix, there's a lot of places you can go to. And I'm not going to send you to some crappy place. I think Credit Pro is one of those kind of companies out there that kind of works with you in a certain kind of way. Or you can
Okay.
even go to a free company. I think it's the credit counseling. It's CCCS. I know those are the
Oh, okay.
acronyms, but I can't remember, the whole build out what it means. But
Mm-hmm.
that's a free resource. And, that's kind of sometimes they probably will work with different types of people.
Mm-hmm.
But, I can direct them that way. Or if you give someone an assignment that they're not going to complete, they're not coming back. So you're
Yep.
kind of
Yep.
okay with that. Even if I ask you to pull your credit report and then when we get together, you don't have it.
And
I'm
then
usually giving you like a week's time to get it. If
yeah.
you're pulling it online, you can get it in 24 hours.
Yeah, or Credit Karma. They all they do is just log in and show the Credit Karma to you, but they just have to sign up for it in the beginning, make sure that everything is connected. Yeah. So going back to the credit, you said that when you're looking at their credit, if there's any discrepancy, they call them, whatever. So let's say they call them, they fix them, but usually, like, let's say they come with a 500, and then how long will that take before they start to improve? Let's say they call and then dispute the discrepancy. Like, is it usually immediate, and then they start paying their credit on time? So how fast have you seen the credit score go up?
Normally, I want to say it will probably take about 30 days to see any change or movement. If you think about it, they'll tell you, if you don't pay your bills on time, which is 30 days, like the 31st day is
Mm-hmm.
when companies start to report you being late. So if you go through the credit bureaus to get some information corrected, they have to dispute it. And they tell you in the paperwork or however they're communicating to you, whether it's email, phone, it's going to take them 30 days to do that. And so with that said, you say 30 days. I worked with a client who had a student loan debt and it was in default. And, we needed to get that straight. We worked with the company, the company that had that portion that was in collections. And in working with them, by the time I saw her again, not right away, some, months down the road, she did tell me that her score had increased by 100 points.
Oh wow, that's very very good. Yeah,
Very,
I
very
I think
good.
I'm gonna ask another credit expert to come on live because this is a very interesting topic. So
Yes, it
okay,
is.
I'm going back to the comment. So Yuri Mariano from Sydney, Australia asked, "Can you tell us about how you went about starting your own financial coaching business? How many clients did you begin with, etc.? Thank you." Are you interested to start to be a financial coach, Yuri? So anyway, so I'm gonna share mine, then Michelle will share hers. So basically, how I got started was in September 2016. So I was struggling at that point in time with my career. Like I wasn't sure. Okay, do I want to stay in corporate? This is just wasn't for me. So then I was working with a life coach, and then she told me, why don't you start it as a side hustle? So if I have to advise anyone, keep your day job while you build your side business. Okay, so I would not recommend it any other way. So I was doing that on the side for 2 years before I quit my corporate job last year. So 2 years I built that. So basically, at first it was just friends and family. I did it for free, so I can ask them for their review if they were happy with my service. So then when I start having reviews on Yelp, I live in Silicon Valley, San Francisco Bay Area. Everyone love Yelp. So if you have a review on Yelp, people will find you. So as I start to have 5 reviews, then I think clients start calling me, and then I just start building up from September. Like I don't exactly remember how many clients, but I think I probably had one new client maybe every week or every 2 weeks, something like that. And then it just started growing. So the thing with my business model is that I have new clients every single month. It's not based on returner. Some clients do want to keep working with me, but the thing is that I want my client to be independent. Like I want them to fly their own wings. They came to me. My philosophy is that I will teach you how to fish. I'm not gonna fish for you. So after I teach you, then you're on your own. And then like you only come to me like maybe when you have a big purchase, like you're gonna purchase a house, and then you want to make sure, okay, can I afford this? Is this within my budget? Then they'll just pay per session. Or because I'm also a tax professional, they come to me every single year to do their taxes, and I can do their tax planning. So that's hopefully, Yuri, that answer your question. And then Tiana Brown says, hello. Hi, Tiana. Thank you for joining. Ernest says, how much should one earn per month before resorting to a financial coach? And he's from Benin. Okay. Yeah. So that's a very loaded question. Oh yes. Sorry. Before we go there, I'm sorry. We didn't go to Michelle. So Michelle answered the question that Yuri asked. Can you tell us how you went about starting your own financial coaching business, and how many clients did you start with?
Well, my situation was different because I still had a day job trying to do this, and as anyone knows, that can be very difficult. And I have to interject with this. This is one of the reasons why I connected with Christine, is because we had the same kind of story. And listening to her just now, I was like, oh my gosh, we sound like twins. Didn't I say that in one of the posts? You
Yeah. Yeah.
know, Yes, so I love her. I'm ready to go meet her. We have the
Oh.
same kind of the mindset on that. So I didn't leave. I was restructured. So my clients came intermittently because I was still employed. It wasn't a big deal that I didn't have a client this week or this month or what have you. So most of my people that I received came from word of mouth or a workshop that I've done, working with volunteerism. So I worked at different organizations. So I've received clients that way. So that's kind of how I got this into the market research part of it, and to really build it out now. That's what I'm using this restructured out of a job for, as well as the COVID-19. So I'm not
Yep.
sitting around whining, Not that other people don't have real problems. Please don't
Yeah,
take me wrong. Anyone out
yeah,
there,
yeah,
I know that if you've lost your job yesterday and you may not have money saved, it's a serious
yeah,
problem. But I have
yeah.
to stay positive because otherwise I could be in that,
Mhm.
situation, just being depressed. But that's kind of how I got started with this, and we'll continue to move forward, working those models to, have that consistent client, come in, to have that consistency of it and not just intermittently.
Got it.
Good
Got it.
question. I
Yuri said,
love these
"Thank you."
guys.
Yeah, Yuri, Michelle's a good question. She said, I appreciate your response, interested in women and leadership and business future goals. You're welcome, Yuri. And then connect with us if we're not connected. And then, actually, let's go back to that question by Ernest. So, Ernest, how much should one earn per month before resorting to a financial coach? So, again, I was saying that's a loaded question. So my clients come from all kind of background. Okay, so some of them don't make not make much money, and then they have a lot of debt, or they don't make much money but they know how to save, but they're still kind of clueless how to go about it. And then sometimes they range to, I mean, I have a client who works at Google, so she has a lot of money, but her issue actually is kind of funny because she has issues with spending money. So it's
Yeah.
it's kind of funny. 'Cause, like, most of my clients, they have issue with spending too much money. Hers is
Mhm.
she's afraid to spend money. I mean, just imagine, she works at
Mhm.
Google, she has a lot of money, but her problem was that we had to work on her, like, because like if you're afraid to spend money, because I was working on this before too, because I did a post the other day, are you frugal or are you cheap? So I could
I
consider myself
saw
a little bit
that.
on the cheap side before, but I'm frugal now. Frugal is good. Like, you are time efficient, but at the same time you value money, but you value time too. You don't go like, walk 30 minutes for a parking lot just so you can save $10 and stuff like that. So you value the time. So basically, yeah, so for me, like, for her, we had to work on her, like, being more on the energy of generosity, because what's the opposite of cheap or stingy? Generosity. How do you practice generosity? So I just told her, like, maybe just start with, I don't know, like, giving, like, like a paid forward, like maybe when you are out of the fast food, someone in front of you, you can pay for the person in front or the person in the back. So just little things that you're comfortable with, or maybe give a little bit of more on the tip, because you want to practice just being on the other side of the fence, and then you can also practice being generous to yourself and being generous to others. So that's how we were working with her. So hopefully that answer your question, Ernest. And then, what about you, Michelle? How do you answer that? How
I'm
much
sorry.
do one earn per month before resorting to a financial coach?
So the person earning or the coach earning for the fees?
How much should one earn per month before resorting? So I think what he meant is the client. How much should the client
Client.
earn before they go to a financial coach?
Gotcha. I am with you 100% on that. It matters. No, doesn't matter what end of the spectrum you're on, because again,
Yep.
you said it. I repeat that. If you make $100,000 and you don't know what you're doing, you're going to be in the same debt as a person who makes $25,000. I
Mm-hmm.
remember a story years ago of this lady in South Carolina. I don't remember her name right now, but she worked as a washer. She worked in people's homes. She did laundry.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was years ago, and she was able to amass from that salary a hundred
Mm-hmm.
thousand dollars to send her nephew to school, not child, because I don't
Wow.
think she had children. So that goes to show you that it's not about what you make; it's about what you do with what you make.
Yep.
So you should seek help way before you even make money, so you understand what to do when you start to earn
Exactly,
it.
exactly. So people who just graduate. So my favorite type of clients, I mean, I accept almost anybody who come to me who's ready to do the work. But then I do have some favorite clients. I don't know if you can call it niche, but people who just graduate from college and then they just starting early career. I love working with them because then actually I have two favorite clients. One of them I interviewed this past Saturday. She's a young, almost freshly graduate, and then it just makes me feel like I'm like an older sister, because I'm not that much younger anymore. So I'm like an older sister. I'm like, like giving them life coaching, relationship coaching too. Like, it's like money is just a huge part of your life. Like, it's just, you're gonna have to deal with the other parts of it. So in a way, like, I'm also feel like I'm sort of life coaching too. And then sometimes, you give them dating tips as well. And sometimes young women tend to they struggle a lot with self esteem. especially when you're early 20s, because I struggle with that too. And then now not as much, and then that's part of me helping them, because if you don't have good self-esteem, it's very hard for you to ask for what you want. For a higher salary, you don't think you deserve more money. You just think making money so hard, you think that you deserve this life, whatever. So boils down to self-confidence, self-esteem, and self-love, and that's why it's so important. Like when I teach my client and when I post content, I talk a lot about that because it's interconnected, right? So yeah, okay. Let me
Absolutely.
read. Yep. So Rob said, "Do either one of you ever work with younger people, kids, teaching them the right way and the wrong way to use credit?" Okay, I'm gonna go first, then you, Michelle. So when you the youngest person I work with is usually a fresh graduate out of college, because when they're in college they're not making money yet, and I do talk to them because I there are people who reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm not gonna not talk to them. So I talked to them and I told them the best thing you can do: finish your studies, don't worry so much about making a lot of money, growing your wealth. Finish your studies, don't get into debt, and then start tracking your finances. So that's the best I can give them advice. And then if you want to buy my online budgeting course, then go ahead, but at least try that. But once you start making money, come back to me, then I can educate you about everything: tax, how investments work. So I don't give investment recommendation, but I teach you how investments work, so you understand what is stocks, what's bonds, what's ETF, what's retirement target fund. And then we'll also go over all your benefits, because a lot of them don't understand their benefits at all. Yeah. So okay, what about you, Michelle? Do either one of you ever work with younger people, kids, teaching them the right way and the wrong way to use credit?
That is one of my favorite things to do because my original goal in life was to be a teacher. I love teaching, So to
Oh.
me, it's empowering and helping. So that's why I say I'm a financial literacy instructor, but you end
Mm-hmm.
up being a coach. You said it
Mm-hmm.
perfectly. That's why the 2 hours takes that kind of time because you end up coaching people outside of finances, because money is emotional, and it's
Mm-hmm.
very emotional. But I do work with young students. I think the youngest group I worked with are 13-year-olds because I did a presentation for Girl Scouts. So it was a troop of Girl Scouts. I work with them. And I've been to a number of career days at high school, junior high school. And I did a presentation for high schoolers that I
Mm-hmm.
think they were 10, 11th, and 12th because they're going to college. And that's where
Mm-hmm.
you start making a lot of your mistakes
Yep.
because the credit card companies are there to take the money you haven't earned yet.
Yeah. Yep. And I totally forgot to say, Rob. So actually, so here, you can rely on on education system for financial literacy, but there are schools now who offer during the summer to teach life skills. So I have been asked to go to this school like during the summer. I don't know. It was like a 1 month. Like they were doing like different courses every single week or something. Gonna talk about, there was one class I was asked to go to just talk about finances. So yeah, we were talking about credit card, we were talking about and then when it's time to ask a question, they were always asking me, how do I save for a house, how do I save for a pet? Like, so it was interesting. And then they were already talking about credit card because some of them already have credit cards. So yeah, so I really appreciate when if ever I'm being asked, it's all voluntary basis, I will go in a heartbeat to just teach, because I love and I want to make sure that people set themselves up right when they graduate high school, or even, yeah, high school. I think the minimum they should probably
Right.
start knowing that, because when you go college, and you need to at least learn to budget already. Okay.
Yes,
So I'm
absolutely. Let me add, Christine, too, that colleges are a good place to go if you get a chance to. I did a presentation for a group, I think it was a Greek group at Georgia Tech here in
Mhm.
Atlanta, and that was a highlight for me to actually be in a good school, like that to do that presentation. I was asked to
Wow.
present. So
Yeah, yeah,
awesome, in doing working with the children on that way. And I have to say children
yeah.
because they're kids to me for real.
Yep, yep, yep. Okay. So I'm reading the comments right now. So Tiana said, "This is so helpful." Well, thank you. I'm glad you think so. Ernest said, "Thanks for the brilliant response." The one that was asking the question about how much do you need to earn. And then Kyle said, "It's not what you make, but what you save. How much dollars should be in your emergency fund before you invest in CD, etc." Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And then Afzal said hello, and then Rob said thank you. Okay, so no more comment. Let me go back. Okay, so yeah, tell me more about. I mean, how did you become a speaker, workshop, seminar? So I mainly do one-on-one. I don't like doing group because I feel like money is so personal. it's so hard to do group. And then because then I enjoy Lemoy's one-on-one, and I can ask all the personal questions I can, whatever they're comfortable. So but then like I have thought about maybe start doing workshop for maybe companies, corporation, but that's probably gonna be in my next project, well, when the pandemic is over with, right? So yeah, tell me, how did you get started with that? How, being an instructor, speaker, or doing workshops, seminars, and stuff like that?
Well, basically networking. I started going to events in Atlanta and in Georgia. There always seems to be an event going on before the
Oh,
pandemic. So,
uh-huh.
and reaching out to friends and family as well, saying, "Hey, is there anything coming up that you know about?" Volunteering, kind of starting that way, got me an opportunity to work with a local program that helps people in
Mhm,
need. So you have to come to that finance training. It's 3 days out of the week. You
mhm,
come to the training 2 days, and the last day is one-on-one consultation. So, and in being in different organizations, I'm able to say, hey, I can do a 1 hour workshop, for that. So that's another way to be able to gain clients, because people see you how you are, and then they're able to say,
mhm.
hey, I want to work with this person. But you'd be surprised when you're in that group setting, and it, depending on the person you are and the way you come across. I mean, people just start telling things. They may not go deep and so personal, but people do tend to open up, and kind of share their stories depending on the group, and especially in the volunteer where you have to come for the 3 days of the week. I've had that experience, though, because I share my own story as well. I share my own story. So, that's how I was able to write, articles, about 12 or 13 articles for, like I said, the local paper here. And then a more recent one became a part 1 and 2. So just reaching out
Mhm.
and networking afforded me to be in that position to, speak at different organizations.
Got it, got it. So, if anyone else has more question, feel free to say something. And then, Michelle, do you have any last minute tips, like for people? I guess, I don't know, who's just starting their journey, or like, and then, I guess, yeah. What would be your like tips to our LinkedIn audience? I mean, we are streaming on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, but majority of our people are on LinkedIn. So,
On
what
LinkedIn.
do you have to say to them? What message do you have for them?
Well, the 2 articles I did put out on LinkedIn, one was about emergency fund rainy day. So I was kind of comparing that, because most people are like, well, I have a rainy day fund, I have an emergency fund. Which one should I do? I
Mhm.
always tell people that to have something saved is better than nothing. So even if you can't start at 10%, which is supposed to be the industry standard, start at whatever percent you can, except for zero. Because the last time I checked, nothing from nothing leaves nothing. So if you do 1%, I'll take it because it gets you some money. But
Yeah,
rainy day
yeah.
fund is for things like that happen, and they're quick, they're short, they leave. So that
Mhm.
could be a flat tire,
Yep,
something like that.
yep,
Emergency is right now.
yep, yep,
This is an emergency. You could be out of work for an extended period of time.
yep,
So
yep.
someone replied to that article and asked the question, what if you are like senior, you're low income, how do you save for both of those things?
Mhm.
Again, start small. You can focus more on one than the other, but at least you could put something in both. Because if you tell me that you were hanging out all weekend and you had drinks
Mhm.
with the guys and drinks with the girls at happy hour, you can put some money away. You
Exactly.
can't tell
Yeah.
me something. Right.
Yep, yep, yeah.
So you mentioned earlier about being frugal and cheap, and I haven't done that yet. And I was
Yeah.
supposed to reply to that, and I'm going to, because I feel like I'm both. Depending on the situation, I can be very cheap. Depending on the situation, I'm going to be very frugal. So
Mhm.
I think it kind of varies, but I did get your point, and it is so true. Sometimes it can be to your detriment if you're just being cheap for everything. You're going to end up paying more in the long run. So
Exactly.
for
Yeah.
sure.
So, yep. So like I did a post on Instagram today. Like I was saying that so the two biggest items on my budget that I make sure I have money for, like you said, if you're gonna drink, make sure you can afford to drink, right? If you're gonna pick between drinking and saving, and you don't have any savings, yeah, I think you have to pick the savings, if over the drinking, right? So you're gonna have to balance that. But
Right.
if you can afford both, okay, then maybe okay. We're not Alcoholic Anonymous, so that's not gonna be a problem. So if they can afford both, then go ahead, right? So So for me, my two biggest thing that I love is that I love food. I love eating out because I don't like cooking. So fortunately, my boyfriend loves cooking, so I'm at least I don't have to worry about that. But we still love eating out. So, but unfortunately now it's just takeout or we have to cook more. And then and massages. So before the COVID, like I love my massages. So those two things, I make sure it fits in my budget because like I need my self care. Massage is just one of my self care. I do meditation daily. I do passive affirmation, but massage is important to me. Actually, I really miss my massage. I feel like I probably have a lot of hard nuts by now. So, but I can't do anything, right? So, but I make sure that I can afford that. But let's say my business is slow for some reason, right? Well, last April was kind of slow, but good thing I have multiple sources, so I still was profitable. But let's say business was slow, then what does that mean? Then I might have to cut down my eating or takeout or whatever, or I have to cut down something. So how do you know if you can make it? You look at your budget. You need to have a place to compare. If you're going short, if you're going over, there's no way you can. You don't have unless you have a computer brain somehow. I don't know who does, but you can't. You don't know, like, oh, how much do I? Like it's very hard. You need to at least write it down on a piece of paper, an Excel or Google Sheet, whatever. Just have it write down. End of the day, it's pluses and minuses, but really the main struggle is really there's a lot of emotional stuff going on when it comes to budgeting. That's what a coach, we as coaches, that we work on the emotions to get through that. Like the hardest part for any of my clients to start with is budgeting. Like they just like that's the
Yes.
homework that they don't do, right? Next week they come to me, it's like, oh yeah, they just did the budgeting like an hour ago before we start seeing each other. I said, no, that's not the point. You have to track every time you spend money or anytime that comes in. So I'm very strict
Yes.
on that. You have to. It's financial awareness. So let me look at the
Comments.
comment. Okay. Oh, Kyle said high five, and Rob said I'm in the wrong class. Okay, I don't know what you mean by that, but okay. Rob, thanks for being here. So Michelle, why don't you tell everybody how to find you? And yeah, just any closing comments you have.
Yes, and my first thing I want to say is everyone just please, take a breath, keep because we are definitely going to get through this. So, stay focused on things, positive things like this. What can I do to help myself going forward?
Hmm.
Check out these types of, live events that are about finance. Read our posts.
Hmm.
Both Christine and I post on LinkedIn. I just posted today my most recent article about this very same thing: saving,
Hmm.
budgeting, and getting organized. Some people don't even know where their bills are, even if they're online. Where's the email? You don't know anything. So, those are my kind of last thoughts about that. And you can definitely reach me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, AJM Financial or Michelle J. Alexander. And also, too, I have a website. It's ajmfinancial.com. I have a blog page that gives you more reads, and they're like a minute read. So you can get information and tips on how to help yourself better financially. So those are the ways that you definitely can reach out to me and connect with me. And, would love to, answer questions or, have another conversation with someone else who's interested in helping and improving, someone's life.
Awesome. So yeah, so I'm gonna tag you in this. I'm gonna put you in the comment after because I couldn't do
Okay.
it for some reason before. So when people want to get connected with Michelle, so just find the link in on the description, and then just connect or follow her or whatever. So I really hope everyone got value out of this. So tomorrow I'm
Yes.
going live again. So I'm trying to go live twice a week. No, actually not twice a week. I think 4 times a week almost. So I'm still figuring out, so it's two nights on the weekday night and then Saturday morning. Then maybe Sunday I might do it. Ask me anything, depending on how it turns out. I'll just show up and then people can just ask me questions. So I don't know. But tomorrow, 3 p.m. PST, I have a special guest, Joe Salustio. He's actually a university president. So we're gonna talk about financial literacy at the university. So I hope to see you guys 3 p.m. So thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Bye.
Gonna end.